Hey y'all, it is me, Lauren, here with Plan with Laur. I am your go-to gal and your best friend when it comes to creating calm out of the chaos that daily life brings us. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my top 8 tips to actually use your planner here in 2022. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how refreshing it feels to see 2022 actually stamped across the top of my planner. I feel like we have talked about it for so long, but now it is actually here. There's just something so exciting and so refreshing about having a full year ahead of you, full of plans and trips and goals, and just all the fun that life brings. But if you're watching this video, then maybe you have that thought in the back of your mind. Maybe you're thinking, when is actually the last time that I've used a planner consistently? Or maybe you're saying, hey Lauren, I switched planners 6 times last year and you told me it's okay to switch planners. And of course it is okay to switch planners. I stand behind that 110%. But if you are going to spend money on your planners, you should get the most out of them. And so that's what we're gonna talk about here in today's video. Now, before we dive into today's video, let me know in the comments down below, what is the biggest tip that has helped you with your planning? I know that we are all a mix of people who have used planners before, some who haven't. So I wanna do a little bit of crowdsourcing here. We got a bunch of things that we're gonna be talking about here in today's video, so fasten your seatbelts. Let's get into tip number 1. So the first tip that I do have for you here today is you are going to want to create a planner place. Now, this can be a physical station in your home, your office, or even just a planner setup that allows you to plan on the go. Maybe you have a folio system or you have a pencil pouch that you're carrying with you to take all your planner supplies around with you. But the single best positive change that I went ahead and made to my planning years ago is that when we lived in our tiny Boston apartment, I had a very, very small corner, y'all, where I just had a couple planners, a couple sticker books, and a couple of pens. And I woke up every single morning and spent time in my little planner nook planning it out. So whether you have a big space or you have a small space that you can use, or maybe you just have a basket that you are filling with planner supplies and taking around with you, find a place and a space that makes planning more enjoyable. Tip number 2 is answering a question. Are you a planner or are you a scheduler? You may have heard me talk about this in a couple of my other videos. But depending on how you answer this question will help you determine how you need to use a planner for the future. And that question that we want to answer is, what is the purpose of your planner? Are you using your planner because you want to show up on time to some things? Or do you want to get more out of the limited amount of time that you have in a day? Figuring out what that purpose is, why you're using that planner, is going to be key to helping you create your routines around it. And then also just like life routines. Now, my mom is definitely just a scheduler. She has a bunch of different competing priorities to keep track of, and she uses her planner to help her make sense of it all. Whereas me, I'm more of a planner. I use my planner to keep track of not only what's going on in my day-to-day, but also my goals, my hopes, my dreams, my visions. I'm adding pictures and stickers and a whole bunch of different things. So I use my planner to be able to reflect on my life, also to work on my goals, and to be intentional with the amount of time that I have. Tip number 3 is gonna be to go ahead and create a weekly planning routine. Let's talk a little bit about behavioral science here. Disclaimer, I am not a behavioral scientist, but one thing I do know is that it takes a while to create a new habit. Some people say 15 days, other people say 21 days, and others even say 90. Regardless of the time that it takes, consistency is a weaving factor throughout it all. So creating a daily habit is infinitely easier when it takes just a few minutes to complete every single day. And so that's why tip number 3 is to create a weekly planner routine. Because daily planning gets easy when you've done the hard thing and you've already mastered weekly planning. Figure out when you have time every single week to spend time in your planner. That may be an hour, that may be 20 minutes, or maybe it's only even 10 minutes to just sketch out what your week's going to look like. For me, I give myself 30 minutes on a Friday or a Saturday to map out the upcoming week on paper. I put in my schedule the things that I already know will happen. I call these my non-negotiable items. So these are things like my working hours, meetings, or appointments that I know are happening. Then I leave the rest of my week blank to fill it in on a day-to-day basis with to-dos, priorities, and goals. And by doing that pre-work of setting up my week, I actually end up making daily planner a lot easier. And so tip number 4, and you may have guessed it, is creating a daily planner routine. As I mentioned, once you have that weekly planner routine, the daily planner routine, to get that dialed in and working, so much more easier. I open my planner while I drink my coffee in the morning to take measure of what's already in there. Remember what I put in during my weekly, but then also to plan out my day ahead. I spend no more than 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night where I keep my journal right beside my bed. I'm prepping for the day, putting some to-dos that I already know, or moving things over that maybe I didn't complete from the day before. That nighttime portion helps me when I get to the morning because I've already thought about my plans a little bit in advance. If you're curious about going more into depth about weekly and daily planning routines, I have a bundle over on my website called Finding Your Planner Routine. Go ahead, check it out, and it will take you through how to create a planner routine that works for you. All right, tip number 5, and this is the hardest one. It hurts my planner heart every single time, but it is to prepare for messiness. Meetings will always change. If you are like me, then your fiance will get the date wrong on people's birthdays. Cancellations happen. Our planner is a tool that helps us navigate the messy parts of life. And there's no way to keep some of that collateral damage out of it. So be prepared for when things get messy. And in your turn, your planner may get messy as well. This is as much a mindset thing as it is an actual preparation. So maybe you use Post-it notes, or maybe you write in pencil, or you get prepared with your whiteout so you can change the date at a drop of a hat. I personally have worked up enough courage to just scratch things out of my planner and completely just leave it as is, not covering it up or whitening it out. I personally always suggest function over form when it comes to planning, especially if you have perfectionist tendencies. All right, so our tip number 6 that we have here is that we are gonna go ahead and we're gonna keep our planner in plain sight. Now, you know the saying, out of sight, definitely out of mind applies here. Planning, as we've mentioned a whole bunch of times during this video, is an act of intentionality. And living your life intentionally is immensely rewarding. But intentionality also requires effort. So remember how we talked about that planner place, right? Whether it's a collection or a place or whatever you're gonna do to make sure that you're using your planner. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna create that. But when you're not maybe actively using your planner, right? When we're not actively sitting down and writing our notes in our planners, keep your planner in a place that you're going to see it. Maybe you'll pass by it regularly. Joe Michael and I have a pretty big island in our kitchen. We're really fortunate. It's one of the things I love most about our apartment. And when I'm not downstairs in my little planner place, my planner sits on the kitchen counter because I know that I'm gonna pass by that spot multiple times throughout the day. The benefit is, one, you actually know where your planner is at all times, but I'm also more likely to pick it up, to scratch things off and check in with it throughout the day. Number 7, this is my favorite tip, is to personalize your planning. Now, whether that is through stickers or pens or accessories, whether it's covers, your name on a front page, you know, there's no chance that you can re-gift something with your name on it front and center. I'm just kidding. But when I take time to personalize my planner, to use stickers, to use washi, to use decorative element, it makes planning exciting for me, and it makes planning fun, and it makes planning something that I want to come back to again and again. So whatever that personalization is for you, make sure you are adding those elements so that your planner becomes something that you're proud of, something that you want to show off, and something that you want to go ahead and use. Tip number 8, and my final tip, may be a little controversial here, is to use digital planning tools to complement your paper planner. Anyone else clutching their pearls? The reality is that we will become more reliant on our phones every single year. And our phones are always gonna be there. But I'm also not sure if anything ever will beat taking paper to pen, writing it down, spending a moment of quiet reflection and self-care working on my planner. And neither system needs to replace each other. You can do digital planning and paper planning, and vice versa. They're there to complement one another, to enhance one another. For example, I use a Google Calendar when it comes to all of my content, but also Joe Michael and I have a shared Google Calendar that we call our master calendar throughout the year. We plot out literally everything but vacation, time off, anniversaries, appointments. But having that kind of master calendar for the year is so important for us because we know, like we talked about a little bit earlier, there will be cancellations, things are gonna get a little messy, and it's a lot easier to transfer things around on that digital calendar than it is going to be in our paper planner. And then when I go to sit down and do my monthly planning, I open up at that Google Calendar to see what we already have scheduled. So then that Google Calendars, those tasks go right ahead into my paper planner. So whether you're using your iPhone or Google, maybe you're using Microsoft or project management software. My personal favorite right now is Notion. Digital tools should help you when it comes to your planning, not create double work. Now, if you have used digital tools in your planning, let me know in the comments down below, what do you use it for and why do you love it? And let's see if it can help someone else out too. All right, now that is all that I have for you guys here today. Hopefully some of these tips and tricks went ahead and resonated with you. If it did, make sure to hit that red subscribe button. As always, my name is Lauren here with Plan with Laur. Here is to a new year of planners and planning. All right, y'all, I'll see y'all next time.